Hello, I'm Frederico van der Kellen, your host, and welcome to Remotely Speaking, the podcast that shows the challenges and opportunities of the remote world. Since our workday has dramatically changed, it became necessary for us to adapt faster than ever to the present reality. So, debating the topic remote has presented us with an urgent matter. Several talking points were chosen in order to enrich this podcast: work, teams and career management, home office productivity, nomad life, work-life balance, and so on. So we really want to provide our listeners and viewers with cutting-edge information, tips, points of view based on testimonials and experiences. So don't miss our updates. Hello once again. Now it's time to welcome Robert Ciurus. He will let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. To Remotely Speaking, he's here to provide us with his expertise, answer some of our questions, tell his stories, and share his expertise about the topic: how can Agile help remote teams perform better? Robert started as an operation manager at Angson International, and after this experience, he started working in future processing as a software developer. But after 1 year, he embraced the role of Scrum Master and team leader. From that, he gained several years of experience as an Agile coach and Agile consultant in different companies until he became a global delivery manager at Prime Engineering in Poland. Hi, Robert. Thank you for joining us. And I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Feel free to correct me on that. But it's a pleasure to have you here. I'm really happy to have this conversation with you in our Prime Group podcast.
Welcome, Frederico, and welcome everyone. Yes, you are pronouncing this. You are pronouncing this very, very, very good way. Most of people in English way, they are calling me Cyrus.
Cyrus. Okay, so
it's easier.
Robert Ciurus, right?
Yes. In Polish, it's Ciurus.
Ciurus. All right. So it's always important to treat our guests with a proper accent and regarding their name. So
thank you very much.
It's an important topic on that. So Robert, before we go into the conversation per se regarding the topic, how can Agile help remote teams perform better? Tell us a little bit about your experience so far, just briefly, and your most recent experience as a global delivery manager at Prime Engineering Poland, just for us to get to know, and our listeners and viewers to get to know a little bit more about yourself.
In a few words, I wanted from the very beginning to understand and feel what I want to do and want to achieve. So that's why I studied university to be a developer, and I became a developer. Because if I wanted to be someone who is advising and modeling processes, I need to understand what developer, what tester thinks, right? Later, obviously, earlier I had my management background, but going further, I was proud part of very good teams in EY. We were delivering a huge project released for 187 countries. There were a few in future processing abroad, like Australia, Canberra, that was South Africa, obviously UK, international projects. And that was a very, very good experience, especially it was successfully deployed on time. And then ING, that was a very complex project, lots of teams, lots of change requests, and very complex product, and almost 110 people were working on the same product. So complexity was very high. That was a very good experience, banking experience, because each project, each environment, each company is different. And that is my experience. And here now, as a global delivery manager, it is a beginning of journey. And there are many new things to me, but there are many things which I know and I can go by instinct. And this is here I am.
Perfect. And What drives you the most now in this new role as global delivery manager at Prime Engineering Poland? What is like the drive? What gives you the boost to do what you do in this new project? Because it's a recent project, right? So
Yes, opportunity to be part of the a very very good team, and it was a pleasure to be with all people in Lisbon. Great pleasure. Thank you very much for welcoming us. And what is driving me now? Uh, this is part of this is a new area, but working with business and starting a new branch in Poland. This is something where we can, like a team, use our competencies and become a very effective, very strong team from inside. And we all feel, me myself as well, we feel that we are in charge. We can do, and everything what we do, we have an impact. So I guess this is it. And what we are driven, what I am driven, I'm always driven by result, by effect, by success, and delivering on time.
okay, perfect. And now, as a starting point for our for my first question and diving into my first question, what is the difference, or what are the differences between Agile and Scrum, and between Scrum and Waterfall? Diving into what is the spectrum of your action in terms of the role you have now. What are the differences between Agile and Scrum and Waterfall? For me, it's a learning process also. So
Sure. When I do trainings for product owners, this is like a basic knowledge to recognize those, let's say, small differences, but they are huge. First of all, let's compare Agile to Scrum. Many people, like I can even say most of people, thinking and working in Agile. With Agile, they're using this, and they put an equal sign between Agile and Scrum. Uh, but these two words, they are way different, because Agile, this is this meaning is like a way of thinking, way of working. This is environment based on principles, based on values. But we need to think that Agile is like a special dedicated area for people who are working on very complex things, innovative, where all problems are very difficult and there is no simple answer. The Agile, this is a space which needs to be um, cut off from, for a moment, for the process, needs to be cut off from the reality, from the world, so people can use competencies, cross competencies inside the team, and only those who are so close to the problem, they can really solve this. For me, this is Agile. When it comes to Scrum is just a set of artifacts, some very simple rules, and some roles. Right now, they are, after November, they are all equal. There is like a shared responsibility for entire team. Before it was divided. But Scrum, by definition, is an iterative way of developing software. It's very light, very easy to understand, and very difficult to implement. We are using Scrum as a light framework to incrementally deliver working software every sprint, right? Doesn't matter, it will be a week or 4 or 2. But what we need to consider during that process, that we need to incorporate customer feedback. That can happen during a review. That can happen even during a day when we delivered something, and it's definition of done is done, because we need to business needs to have an impact for that growing new product. But at first, when we think about Scrum, result of every sprint is we need to ensure that right business value is delivered in each sprint. And when it comes to saying that what is agile, agile is equal to business value. What is a Scrum? A very light framework to use as a mechanism, as a tool to deliver that working product, that business value. So iteratively, business can get it as early as possible, as often as possible. One thing I want to tell you is that there are two books for a heavy approach called Disciplined Agile Delivery. And there is a book, a guide for Scrum. And when we compare 13 pages from Scrum Guide and 568 from Disciplined Agile Delivery, which is Agile framework, then we can see the difference, right? Lots of people think that Scrum is everything. There is only Scrum. No, sometimes I feel that we need to put Scrum everywhere, to shops, to restaurants, because Scrum is for everything. No, we need to use proper tools for proper process, for proper stage of the production. And here we come to waterfall, right? We wanted
Yes, after the differences between Agile and Scrum, the differences between Scrum and Waterfall.
Waterfall. Again, there are so many opinions that waterfall is so bad. It is not. It is just a different framework for different product for different stage of production. We can use waterfall to produce something big, but nest Scrum inside of the process. And waterfall itself is just for the product where we really know what we want to achieve, where we don't need to think about functions, about processes, when we can just have a workshop and exactly get a result, what kind of functions, what kind of process we want to cover within an organization, and just do it. Business likes waterfall because it is predictable. There is a budget, there is a time, requirements, and money. And it's easy to report, easy to show on PowerPoint. But in Agile, yes, we can use the same things, but using just different dashboards, different visualization. So waterfall is just for different product. And where in Agile, with Scrum, we are working within like a chaotic environment, and we need to add some innovation, and we need to be ready for change, work with business. In waterfall, it looks like it's simpler, but there is not that much space for flexibility, because all is already agreed. But if we will agree what we want, so this is not a bad approach.
And thank you for all this detailed explanation. And since we are talking about Agile and Agile helping remote teams and the differences between other frameworks, does Agile actually work with remote teams, in your opinion?
It is not only my opinion, this is my experience. I used to work with remote, I was part of the remote team, and I never met my colleagues. They were from Mexico, they were from States, they were from India, from UK, and we never met. But once we knew basics, once we set up of Scrum environment processes, and we agreed for definition of ready and definition of done, then we focused on clearing and dividing communication. Within remote teams, it is very, very important that we have dedicated channels for proper communication, because when it comes, let's say, for example, that at the very beginning, when we wanted to divide everything, we had 20 channels on Teams. What happened next? That most of the team muted most of channels, and they were for no one. We need to have a very good tool for communication. We need to have proper channels, and part of those channels they need to include stakeholders, and have a space for, let's say, for front-end developers, for back-end developers, and so their communication won't interact within a team, and people will ignore everything what is written in these channels. And very important thing with remote teams is about time zone difference. Mm-hmm. When you say Scrum, you mean daily. Daily, it means that we need to meet for 15 minutes. Okay, if the difference is minus 5.5 hours India, 0 Poland, +6 USA, +7 Mexico. So what is a good time for daily? There is none. So what we did, we just created a separate channel which was like asynchronic daily, and everyone who had this local time for a daily was adding their status, so we knew where they are with the development. And yes, it is possible to have remote teams in very, very wide time zones. It's all about very good communication, about the trust, what we want to do and want to achieve, and the process. I think we need to always think about the software development as a production process, but just different environment. In regular factory, we have a process which is lean way created, so it is easy to change and improve. But here in IT, this is chaotic, very dynamic environment, and there are so many factors are changing on daily basis, and we need to adapt, be ready, and always adapt.
And it was very interesting when you said that. Okay, yes, it is possible. It also requires a solid process, and part of the process is something that you also mentioned: proper channels and proper tools. Can you name some tools for remote agile teams?
Yes, there are a few which are very often used. It's Teams right now and Slack, and that depends, I guess, from corporate decision. If procurement department they want to spend money for license for Slack or for Teams, it's hard to say which one is better. I think that comes from management, and there is no much space for choice. But I used on project Mattermost, which is not that good and not that flexible, not that for remote teams, very difficult to adjust. And the other one, Jabber, or a few of them, we can name it. They're not that good. But if we are talking right now about the tool, Teams and Slack, they are very popular. And me myself, I prefer Teams because it's with connected to office environment and lots of things. They are just working smoothly with Outlook and all meetings, and works fine.
And as you mentioned, it is also very important. It's not just about the tool itself. It's about how you use the tool and how the processes are installed within the tool and the channels that are created within the tool. So it's not just about the tool itself. It's the use you give it to the tool.
Yes, I said this at the beginning, that proper tools for the proper product at the proper time, and it's like using mechanic is using the proper tool to repair the car. It is not that he has the hammer and using hammer, which is good for everything. Yes, we can do some changes with the hammer, but result will be, I guess, poor.
Yeah, different processes, different tools, or same tool, different processes, you end up having different results. So
Yes.
in again, with your experience, so it's not only your opinion, but given your experience also, how can we, or how to hold and manage efficient agile meetings?
It is not an accident that we always say that this is lean IT, but please consider that the first word is lean, so and then later is IT. We need to think always about processes in our very, very dynamic environment, about lean way of thinking, so minimizing waste and maximizing business value. When it comes to the meeting, I always say to people, do you ever think that you are inviting 20 people, but only 4 or 6 of them they need to be there because they have enough competencies to make a decision? But when it comes to 20 people invited for 1 hour, it means that we just lost 20 working hours. So it means that 2.5 days, one man was on the meeting doing just the meeting. And this is the lean way of thinking, how to minimize the waste. So how to organize effective meeting? First of all, to have a clear purpose. Set up the goal of the meeting, why we need to meet, right? What we want to achieve after that time. Second, we need to have an agenda and time box agenda, because most of meetings, they become just an open discussion and people are just leaving the meeting with open minds but not result. And
No.
but what we want to
Right.
have, we need to have in lean, we met for an hour to get a result so we can make a step forward. uh, and what happens next? Then we need to meet again and maybe again. So when we have in the sprint, we have 80 hours, right? 10 days, then in 2 weeks we have 10 days, 80 hours, but working like productive is around 65 hours. And when you have a meeting for a few hours, it means that your capacity, your availability to deliver product is lowering down.
Yeah.
So agenda, time box agenda, and very important, have all attachments, all links to documentation and attachment, so people will come ready for the meeting. Lots of meetings become a meeting where people just they start to read documentation or they get acknowledged with the purpose. No, we need to come ready. Everyone needs to read before, so discussion is clear and effective. And this is my way of running effective meetings.
And associated to that, I assume it's also the importance of every single participant knowing their role in the meeting, because people can assume different roles in the meeting. So it needs to be clear, to be more agile, that people know exactly what are their individual role within the meeting.
Yes, and it's a good practice that host, usually a man who or woman who invited all attendees, is the one giving the voice or running the meeting accordingly to agenda. And it's all about quality. Always we need to think about quality, not quantity. Going in agile in IT with quality always costs going with the quantity always is with the cost of quality. And we need to have both of that, right? Quantity
Yeah,
and quality.
balance.
The balance, exactly.
Robert, thank you very much for your for your answers, more than your answers, for sharing your expertise and your experience, your view on how Agile can help remote teams perform better and increase their performance level, individual and as a team. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to have you. As for us, make sure you join our Facebook page. If you haven't already, follow us on Instagram. Now it's the perfect timing. We are Prime Group. Also reach out to us on LinkedIn. We also have the links to our social media on the description below. You're also very welcome to our digital house. By that I mean our website, weareprime.com. We are sharing the video of this nice chat with Robert on our YouTube channel. So you can search for Prime Group on YouTube, subscribe, put on your comments, likes. We will make sure we will answer you. So come and join our online community. It will be a pleasure to have you there. See you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Federico. And well, it was a great pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Robert. See you next time. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.